Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fine.
Good morning, everybody. All right, so we've got CPI here. We are going to focus on the CPI, and then we can talk about Charlie. I don't like talking about things like that, but this particular instance, pretty big deal. So we're going to have to talk about it. But let's stay focused on the CPI first, right? This is a pretty important CPI print. If the print comes out and it is dovish, then I think that that could dramatically increase the chance of a 50 basis point cut from the Federal Reserve. And if it comes out and it's hawkish, the Federal Reserve probably still cuts, but it might change how the Federal Reserve looks at the next meetings after that. And I think the next meetings are October and December. So the ESZ contract is already trading at 60. Nah, that can't be right, really? Huh. Morning, Uzi. Good morning, Octavius. Man. All right, well, we got the poll. Okay, so US CPI, the headline is spot 4 versus the expected spot 3. But core CPI in line with expectations at spot 3 versus the expected spot 3. Interesting.
Target filled.
The robot should not have held that through the news, but oh well. I need to go and take a look at my news CSV because it looks like it's still missing some news events for some reason. So you would expect that the headline CPI being spot 4 instead of spot 3 would be a negative, and that the treasuries would sell off on that. But I think that what's going on here is that a lot of people were holding off because we had a lot of dovish stuff happen earlier in the week, right? The revisions that we saw on Tuesday were dovish. The PPI that we saw on Wednesday was very dovish. And the market didn't move that much. And I think that it was because they were waiting for CPI. So now that CPI is over, it's like now we have all of the information and we need to price it correctly. And so it's a buy. That was a pretty dramatic buy too, by the way. Like, it was kind of interesting. The number came out and you could kind of see there was the initial knee-jerk reaction lower, a little bit of back and forth there. Not sure, like the market not sure what to do with it. And then all of a sudden, boom, it just went, right? So I think that could be one large player making their move after they have all of the information, and then everybody kind of going along with it. Octavia says an easy trade for once. I wish I was long like my robot. Look at that. He didn't even come close to holding it long enough. He could have held it. That was a 10 tick trade, and it is set to take 10 ticks because the stats just say that it's not likely to get more than that. But if it had held on, it would have made double that. That's crazy. Or a crazy move. I don't think I've seen, well, I shouldn't say I've never seen, but it's definitely been a long time. Like I can't remember in recent memory a situation where the treasuries moved that far on a delayed reaction to a news event, right? Like there's ones where like, okay, yeah, this piece of news is a big deal and it jumps, and then it goes and it just never stops. But this one where it was kind of a little wishy-washy first and then it went was very unusual. So what about the jobless claims? Oh, so is part of this jumping on the jobless claims? Because we got 263K versus 235K expected. That is a pretty big jump for jobless claims. So that has got to be a factor as well. Well, let's come and look at the volume profiles and everything. So here you can see the treasuries just jumping out there. We're going to have to come to a daily. So we're still not quite as high as we were back at... what did Trump call it again? Deliberation Day or something? I don't remember. But, and like compared to where we were last year. So, because I really have been feeling that we should be more in this range. So, we'll see. S&P 500... disregarding what we were saying about where the December contracts are trading at, which sounds a little crazy to me. We are seeing S&P 500 selling a little bit off of this, quite a bit. So we are getting a concerns about growth trade here, right? Oil, also down. Gold, well, gold was down a little bit overnight, but it's jumping up here. Silver, not as much volatility in silver. For some reason, since we've gotten into this range, it's been a lot quieter. Copper also has been kind of quiet. Well, I mean, discount that crazy stuff a couple of weeks ago, but it's been pretty tight. Japanese yen. Okay, yen saw a pretty significant decline overnight. That's interesting because when I was reading my morning digests, I don't recall anything about Japan. There was a lot of stuff about trade deal with Korea. So that's kind of curious. All right, and then we got Bitcoin. Not doing a whole much of anything. I wonder, on that news, did we effectively bust through all of the implied volatility targets on that one? I would think that time they probably busted right through it, huh? Well, all but the 30-year. Okay. Well, and we should note that the yield curve steepened considerably off of that. Actually, oh man, I really got to highlight that one. Look at the yield curve right there. That's just jumping. I probably doesn't. They're on the screen. If you don't have it yourself, you can't see it on the screen. Like, that is crazy. That is a really significant jump. Wait, let's come back to the volume profile. Okay, so it is. We had a pretty significant decline in the yield curve yesterday, so it is a retracement. Still, it's a pretty clear jump. All right. Let's talk about Charlie. So I want to make it very clear before we start talking about this. I will not tolerate any kind of comments or discussion that imply in any way that political violence is okay. I very strongly believe that political violence is a no-go zone, that there is no situation in which it is warranted. I understand that people can get in the heat of the moment and maybe they're arguing and there might be fists fly or, you know, all of these situations where there's kind of been protests and back and forths and things like that. But when we get to like premeditated terrorist acts like happened yesterday, it is absolutely unacceptable in all circumstances. And if you don't think that, you should not be on this stream. Second, I would ask you to please not discuss the graphic nature of how Charlie was murdered, because it triggers me. I straight up yesterday watching. I mean, if you haven't seen the video, I will just briefly describe. Basically, he got shot in the neck and you see blood squirt out, and it's very graphic. And I watched it yesterday. Like, you know, I was trying to get information. Like, okay, is he okay? And then I saw that video, and yeah, he was definitely not okay. There's no way. I suppose that it's conceivable that you could survive that. Apparently, they did rush him to the hospital and everything. But yeah, you're not going to survive that. And man, like I saw that and that was very shocking. And then I started to think about it yesterday and I straight up passed out. So let's not talk about that part, shall we? I saw this morning, man, because we were talking about him a couple of weeks ago, weren't we? I think it was before we took the break. I don't know what day it would have been. I could probably go in and like have YouTube export all of the transcripts and then search through the transcripts and see what we talked about. Because I vaguely remember talking about the South Park episode about him. And kind of implying that like, well, like there's you've already peaked at that point. Like how much bigger does it get than you're being made fun of by South Park? I sure hope I didn't say anything that like looks really bad in retrospect. I'm kind of afraid to go back and like find transcripts and find what I said. Because I vaguely remember saying like, oh, you know, we're not saying this should happen and I think it would be an awful thing, but like maybe he gets assassinated now. Jeez. But you know, there's been a lot of crazy stuff that has happened in the past year, 2 years in particular. Like it really is. There's always lots of dramatic things happening, but it's really just gotten bigger. On all this stuff, the attempted assassination against Donald Trump, Joe Biden dropping out, there's a bunch of other kind of wild things that have happened. Donald Trump in his presidency has been very, very active and has done a lot in his first year. It's hard to keep up with. And yet somehow, against all of that competition, this may well be the most significant political event that has happened. It feels really weird to say that. I could be wrong. Could be. A lot of people are saying, well, you know, everybody's going to be really interested in talking about it for the next few days and then they'll forget about it. Similar. So it was kind of when there was the assassination attempt against Donald Trump. I did kind of feel like that people forgot about it a little bit too easily, you know? But I do not think that that is the case on this one. You gotta understand, from the point of view of conservatives, and granted, we don't know who killed him. That person is apparently still on the loose, which is also super wild to me. How are you able to do something like that and then get away? And we not really have any major leads on who it is. Well, maybe they do, and they just haven't said so publicly. But that's wild to me. That's wild to me. But I just got to be clear on the accuracy. Like, we don't know who it is, but like on this one, like sometimes it's like, well, we don't know. We got to be careful because it could be crazy. I think that the chances are this time that it's going to be a radical leftist that was straight up making an assassination. We'll see, but yeah, of the conspiracy theorizing that's already started. Well, I definitely see. I mean, you know what was funny as I was thinking about this last night, and I thought that that's what you were gonna say. So that there's definitely some things about it that make it ripe for conspiracy theories, and I think that the situation and the way that it happened and everything. Yeah, I mean, this person knew what they were doing. They were a good shot. 200 yards is not an easy shot. And it was also kind of weird. Well, should we say weird? It could just be a coincidence, but that he was talking about gun violence when it happened. Almost as though he was up there waiting for him to say a certain thing and then shoot. And there was a video. People saw somebody on the roof and were taking video of the guy up on the roof, was there laying down and waiting. So he was there for a while before that happened, almost as though it was like set up. So there's definitely going to be conspiracy theories about it for sure. But I really think that the thing is that the graphic nature of it, like, seriously, it's not something I like to admit, but it's just apparently that's me. That made me have a vasovagal episode. I straight up passed out sitting at my desk, man. My boss saw me, looked at me and saw that I was going white, and then started to shake and immediately came and caught me. I hope that I wouldn't have fallen out of my chair, but I straight up passed out in my chair, man. I've seen graphic things before. I wouldn't say that I'm one of those people that have watched a lot of snuff or anything, but I'm on the internet a lot, and I've come across things that I wish I hadn't, you know? You know, I guess I am prone to it. There was a couple of weeks ago, my dad was in the hospital because he had a blood clot in his leg. And that really, when I was there in the hospital and when we were talking about that really affected me too. But this was graphic. And in the minds of conservatives, they're watching that and they're seeing themselves up there. They're seeing themselves up there. Because here's the thing. Like, granted, I was not like a huge Charlie Kirk fan. I didn't spend a lot of time watching content about him. Of course, I've seen some content about him on TikTok and whatnot. I've seen some comments from him that I thought were really insightful. I've seen some comments from him that I kind of thought, well, I don't like the way that you're saying it, at the very least. Some things that I just outright disagreed with. But I honestly can't think of what they would be. When you look at people talking about the things that he said, because I'm seeing a lot of people on the left, man. Seeing a lot of people on the left saying that they're glad he's gone, which is just absolutely abhorrent. Terrible, terrible people to go in and say that. Like, man, if you are a leftist and you really do feel that way, you should keep it to yourself, because that's like, you're going to lose your job over that sort of stuff. It's for real. This is like a really, really big deal for some people. But the comments that he made that people are pointing out was like, he said that there is going to be some gun violence, and that's an unfortunate consequence of having the Second Amendment, but that he feels that it's worth it. And I agree with him. But that's like the worst thing that he's said, apparently. I don't know. Like, what is the thing that he said that was so hateful that would justify or that would trigger political violence against him? I don't see it. I thought that he was a relatively mild mainstream Republican. I would say that he was somewhat identitarian in that, he felt that Europe was being flooded by refugees and that it was going to change the culture of Europe, and that was a bad thing, and concerned about it happening in the United States. But I don't think that that's necessarily explicitly hateful message either. I really don't think that it's okay to intentionally change the culture of an area through immigration against the will of the current occupants. So I don't think it's a hateful thing to say that. And what else was it that he believed that was so hateful or awful? I think most Republicans probably, I would bet that you take any average Republican and they agree with Charlie Kirk on like 90% of things. And that probably the biggest disagreements that they're going to have with him are the way that he says things. Right?
Order submitted.
There was the South Park episode, and that they were making fun of him on South Park, and I'm still kind of like not seeing the portrayal of him really being justified. That like they really treat him like he was this huge firebrand, like Rush Limbaugh on steroids or something like that, and that was really not the Charlie Kirk that I remember watching. I remember watching a guy that was good at debating. I remember watching a guy that was very much willing to engage with other people, but was always tried to be respectful about it. And that his whole shtick was that he felt that it was important that we talk about political things. And so for him to be the one that gets assassinated, and in such a violent and graphic way, is going to be burned in the minds of every Republican. So even if people on the internet stop talking about it, don't make no mistake, there's going to be a huge political shift off of this. There's going to be a huge political shift off of this. Now, I really, really hope that this does not lead to more political and violence. And one of the things that I'm seeing that makes me hopeful about all of this, because at first, especially on Reddit, let me tell you what, man, Reddit has a problem. I've been saying this for a long time. When I see this, it kind of makes me feel like, man, I need to be more outspoken about this, and yet I'm really not sure how much more outspoken I can be. Reddit has a problem. There are crazy people on that website that say crazy things, and it is a very large portion of that demographic. That website is leading people down absolutely crazy echo chambers that is radicalizing people in a very, very dangerous way. Reddit has ignored the issue, if not been happy like that's the way that they wanted things to go. It always was kind of started by radical leftists, so it doesn't surprise me that it's gone this way, but it is absolutely a problem, and it needs to be talked about. Like, Reddit needs to do something. If Reddit does not do something about the extremism on that website is going to get shut down. I don't think that it's going to be like the government's going to come in and shut them down or something like that. But they're a company. They're a company, man. And activists can get involved. if somebody, an activist investor, Elon Musk, this is something that should happen, guys. Elon, you listening? Activist investor action against Reddit. It should happen. We'll all buy shares, make votes, and change some of the moderation policies on Reddit, because what's going on over there is dangerous. Straight up dangerous. I fully expect, of course, we know nothing about the shooter, but I'm gonna bet you we're gonna find out that it's a radical leftist, and then you're gonna find all sorts of crazy stuff that he said on Reddit, and they'll try and hide it. That's what always happens. So they try and delete the profile so that nobody can see what they were saying. Yeah, Reddit has been told to let the issue fester. It's crazy. This is the thing is that Republicans have been relatively passive about this kind of stuff. It's like, we've been talking about it, we've been complaining about it, but what are you actually going to do about it? And no, I don't think that anybody's going to go, and I think there's a lot of concern about like revenge violence. I don't think that that's so much a concern. I don't think that that's going to happen. Okay. Like, first of all, like, who on the left would that happen to? There's like not anybody on the left that's even remotely comparable to Charlie Kirk in terms of like being out in public and talking in public and stuff. Yeah, Uzi's right. That won't happen. The right doesn't have that in them. No, the right, by and large, is against political violence. I think that we all believe very, very strongly that political violence is unacceptable. So I don't think that there's going to be like revenge violence. But what is going to happen is people on the right are going to stop looking at this and kind of saying, well, I'm just going to stay quiet and hope that things work out for the best. Right? The right is going to become much more active about this issue. And a situation like this is one that politicians cannot ignore. So you will see, mark my words, you will see action from policymakers. I hope that this doesn't lead to some sort of authoritarian type action from the administration, but I think that that's something that's likely. There's going to be some serious. Here's the thing that I don't think that some people understand, and a lot of people on the right don't understand. Because, you know, to me, again, like, I've seen videos of Charlie Kirk. To me, he was kind of like a B-level celebrity in the Republican sphere. But that's just because, from my perspective, it's like watching him on TikTok, right? But when you go behind the scenes, he played a pretty significant role in the Republican Party over the past 4 years or so. Okay, his organization, Turning Point USA, played a significant role in getting Donald Trump elected. They were the ground operation, essentially. Basically, what happened was they said, you know what, last time we totally screwed it up. The Republican Party had terrible get out the vote effort. We're just going to give it to our independent organizations. And they literally handed it over to them. So it could well be said that if it was not for Charlie Kirk, that Donald Trump would not be president today. Okay. Let's see here. Is the PPI good or bad for the crypto sphere? I would say that that this is what we're looking at is a growth scare, and that's going to be bad for crypto. And there was a slight down, but the thing with crypto is that's not what's holding it up. Downside is probably limited. Anyways. Yeah, Donald Trump maybe wouldn't be president without Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk has been to the White House several times. Okay. Donald Trump really liked Charlie Kirk. And all of the other, like, let's call them Republican influencers, really liked Charlie. Okay. He was an affable guy. He was very well liked. He was, and he was a clean, he was very much Christian. Has a wife and kids, which you've seen the videos of his kids now. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Okay. They really liked this guy. Okay. So especially if you're like Ben Shapiro or I don't know who else we got, Sean Hannity, like all of the big Republican talking heads on the right, it's basically watching their best friend get murdered in front of them. It's gonna leave very serious emotional scars. They're not gonna stop talking about it. They're not gonna stop talking about it. So this is not going away. I won't be surprised if external forces are trying to cause a civil war in the United States. That could be. Have the AI change. I think that YouTube can translate, but I don't know how that works. I never go and look at it. Sorry. What you got is what you got today. By the way, we should take a note, pause here to look at the market. It looks like they've retraced about 50%. Actually, interestingly enough, well, no, it's a little bit further than where the robot took its profits. So, but they did retrace a good amount of it. We'll see if there's another wave. It looks like that the we had a flow. We had a good strong move up in ZN. When you look at ZB, that one was overall selling, so we are getting that strong steepener. But the Japanese yen has not pulled back so much, so that's kind of curious. Yeah, when is the well, so they've got a week, but are the Z contracts really that far ahead? All right. You got me. I'll pull it out. $66.12. Yeah. Well, so then trade the spread, right? Sell ZB and buy the front. That's a little. I don't know. There's probably some risk holding that, but you could try doing a basis trade there. I don't know what the normal difference is a week out though, so maybe September will catch up. Let's see. Now the other thing about it is, okay, so Republicans just saw this dramatic event that is frankly going to leave emotional scars in a lot of people. And then they get on Reddit and they're seeing all of these unhinged leftists saying that it's a good thing. No, this is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. This is probably the worst thing that could possibly happen to the left at this point. like, the left was hurting before. This turns the left into like a pariah. Like, people are going to be afraid of being associated with the left for fear of being associated with that violent act. You're going to see Democrat identification numbers go down. You're going to see, especially among independents, there's going to be a lot of people. Something that I've seen a lot of. Granted, I think that TikTok is showing me things that it thinks that I'm going to like. But I saw a lot of videos of people that considered themselves center, and I tend to see more middle moderate type of content on TikTok. They were all saying there's no way I'll ever vote for a Democrat ever again because of seeing the reaction of many leftists to what happened. And it's not like there isn't political violence from the right, but this people are going to remember this. It's really crazy because to me, again, like in my mind, Charlie Kirk was still like a B-list political commentator, and now he's like the most famous political commentator of all time. Now he's the most famous of all time. Really, whoever did this was not thinking. Like, maybe it is somebody that just wanted attention, and if they wanted attention, they're certainly going to get it. But if this was like a leftist that thought that this was somehow going to help their political cause, or that, you know, they were an accelerationist and that this would help them with that or something like that, I think you can be found to be dead wrong. Because what's going to happen is it's going to consolidate resolve on the right, and they're going to continue to push forward with their agenda, and they're going to be more outspoken. And people on the left are going to realize how radical it has become over there, and I hope that people that are truly on the radical left will realize how dangerous what they've been saying really is, and become more moderate. I think that that's actually a likely outcome out of this, contrary to many people saying that this will just make people worse, right? Have you ever played that video game? It's like a little flash game where it's like you're supposed to take pictures of people. They're walking around on the screen, and then like when you take the pictures, the media finds a way to distort the picture in some way to make it seem bad, and then because of the media, like everybody starts getting scared, and then all of a sudden somebody comes along and commits an act of violence, and like the whole screen just like turns into chaos, and like people start killing each other all over the place. It's very bloody and gory and stuff. Like, this feels like that moment to me. But I do think in the real world and in the United States that an incident like that tends to have a pendulum effect, right? That in the short term, at the very least, you will see the pendulum shift the other way now, and that political discourse will become... There will be an effort to have more polite political discourse in honor of Charlie. I'm interested to find out who's the first on the right that comes out and does an event. Goes and does an event at UVU. Because here's the other thing, man. Happened in Utah. How did that happen in Utah? That's so crazy to me. Utah is like the safest, most moderate place. But there were all Republicans, but everybody in Utah wants to consider themselves a moderate. The Mormon way is to consider yourself more moderate, right? To have something like that happen here is absolutely wild. Granted, it's like the fourth incident this year, okay? Because we had the incident where a peacekeeper shot somebody, at the rally. That was kind of a big deal. Then there was a shooting at a park during a festival event. That was kind of a big deal. And there was another one, but I don't recall what it was now. And now this. That's 3 or 4 in Utah. Kind of unusual for us. So it tends to be a very safe place. So yeah. Market-wise, and I know this is going to sound silly, but an event like this probably also has a mildly suppressive effect on the economy. So let me tell you what. This is really hard. This is where, because look, the way you feel your mood has a very powerful effect on your trading, because what we're doing is so difficult, right? The decisions, the type of analysis that you have to do to be effective at day trading is basically the most advanced kind of thinking and analysis that human beings are capable of. And if you're not all there, if you're not working at 100%, it's going to affect your trading, and your mood can absolutely influence you to be more likely to take certain trades, right? If you feel negative, you're going to be more likely to think that like everything's going to crap and that the economy is going to fall apart. And this is why you get all these people online that is just like they're perpetually bearish, even though the stock market continues going up. And even when the stock market goes up, that must be a bad thing, right? Your attitude affects your trading very, very much, right? But you cannot be in denial about what the reality is either. That's kind of the thing. It's like a normal person, you don't necessarily have to watch the news. What's going on in the news, if it doesn't affect your daily life, if it doesn't enrich your life, then why are you watching it? It's just entertainment, but it's entertainment that makes you feel bad. And there's definitely a thing there too, that these negative things will kind of generate dopamine, and people become addicted to it, right? I was definitely addicted to it. I feel like that after all of these years, to some extent, I've become desensitized to just crazy things happening on the news, because now I'm constantly always just, okay, going and looking at it and everybody being shocked and being like, well, okay, this happens all the time. This one's different. I don't think that we've had an event, anything remotely close to this. It's a wild one. It really is. So if we're going to trade, we kind of have to learn to deal with that, right? To be able to see negative things happen, to have disappointments, to go through recessions and hard economic times and political disappointments where the party that we want to win doesn't win, or to see tragedies and still be effective, right? Part of that is that we can frame it in our minds in a certain way, right? I hope that this event becomes a positive catalyst for positive change. And I really think that there's a very good opportunity there, and that will happen. Even if bad things happen, there will be good things that happen too off of this. Okay. So that's one thing that we can talk about that can kind of help our mood there, right? So think about the positive things that are going to come out of it, right? I think Charlie Kirk was a nice guy. I think. I don't know. A lot of people on the left seem to disagree with me, and I don't know where they're getting it from. But my story about seeing him dying and literally passing out 5 minutes later from thinking about it, I think Charlie Kirk would think that's effing hilarious. I'm sure in the next life, if I ever get a chance to talk to him, I'll talk about that and he'll think it's hilarious. But a part of it is also just being able to focus in when you need to. Think about your peripheral vision. Look at that spot in the screen that you're supposed to be paying attention to. Go through the analysis that you have. What are the things that are affecting this market today? Well, what do we got? Today was CPI. We had a lot of other dovish stuff. And then we had a very large 30K miss on initial jobless claims that is also dovish. So I think that pretty much all of the indications from here are all dovish. It's already gone a lot, so I don't know if there's much opportunity on this left. I think, though, probably there's follow-through on this tomorrow. By the way, what do we have? Do we have news tomorrow? Today, tomorrow. Oh, we got consumer sentiment. Okay, so, yeah. And then what about Friday? Oh, no, wait. Tomorrow is Friday. Durr. And it reminds me, there's a guy on Discord that really strongly believes that there's going to be no change in the rates next week. He's like, I'm waiting for the options to give me the right number to take the trade. And I'm just like, well, the trade itself might work out because I actually see a very high probability of Federal Reserve being dovish next week and the Treasury selling off. As sort of a buy the rumor, sell the news sort of a thing, right? But man, his view of the world and the economy is just so terribly wrong. So terribly wrong. And I'm kind of excited to see next Thursday and then see if he kind of adjusts or if he finds a cope. He finds a cope. Ah, man. I don't know what else to say about it. I think that's about all that I can say. Yeah, I actually kind of expected you guys to be a little bit more vocal about it, but I don't know. Maybe if I had been like, this is where things really turn south and yada, then people would want to talk about it. But I don't think that that's really the case. One, and two, I don't think that is really positive for you guys, right? So we got to keep it positive to some extent. I'm trying not to be crazy myself, too, with opinions. I expelled all of my ability to talk about it yesterday. That is... I feel you so much right now, Uzi, with that. There really is something about this that feels like, you know, there's been so much already, and it's tiring, isn't it? But we can't let ourselves get tired. We can't stop for anyone. When we talk about what we do here on this stream, I tell you what, man, it is scary. It is scary. I mean, I think that Republicans very much see themselves up there. This is like the one guy that really wanted to reach out and talk to people, and they killed him. Assassinating him in the most gory way possible. It's just, well, it's not the most gory way possible. It could be a knife attack, but still, it's just abhorrent. And man, I totally lost my train of thought there. So it is it's scary. Now, as an influencer myself that nobody cares about, it's kind of scary, you know? Like, look, I'm not going to go down to UVU today and try and do a speech in the public square, okay? This is too much for me right now. And certainly, if I was ever in a situation, I mean, forever and after this, anytime that somebody like Ben Shapiro goes to a university, I don't think that they're going to do it in the public square like that, are they? Or if they do, they're going to have security come up on all of the roofs and like absolutely tight security to make sure that there's no way that they could be assassinated. Like people. So like I mean I think that the guy that does this, Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, those three in particular, right? They're going to be careful. I would actually quite enjoy the opportunity to go and speak at universities. I don't think that what I would be doing is as much of a debate, because I really think that most of the people that I'm debating are just not really well educated on economics. And I think that a lot of the kind of more radical people would hear the information that I have to teach them about economics and kind of become more moderate to some extent, to understand why things are the way that they are and how you can go about fixing them, and that radicalism and socialism and that sort of a thing is not an effective solution, right? So I would enjoy that kind of opportunity. I don't think that that's something that I'm ever going to end up doing. I don't think that most people care. I get it. Like, we're mostly treasuries is kind of boring. Am I that interesting to listen to when we're talking about politics? I think that I have a lot of really good political insights. But I don't know if it's necessarily entertaining. I mean, kind of part of the issue is that the stuff that's the most entertaining is probably stuff that's not actually good for you. So I'm not going to do that, but I think that what we're doing is important, and I think that it's important to not stop speaking out. And I'm trying to be careful about what I say. I really do. I'm sure I've said stupid things. I'm sure someday Seth will say something on stream, or something will happen that will put Seth in the news, like people will pay attention to me, right? And then everybody will go down through every live stream that we've ever done and try and scour stuff to find the places where I said something dumb. I'm sure that's something that could happen someday. But I think it's important for us to continue talking to people and teaching people, because, we in particular, because of our understanding of complexity economics, have a unique insight that is particularly helpful and well suited to solving the problems that are in front of us here in this society. And there are certainly a lot of issues that are outside of my wheelhouse, and I try to stay in my lane. Okay, but our lane is economics and complexity. Complexity, and that ends up being a pretty wide sphere. There are some, like if you want to talk about gun violence, well, we can talk about the complexity mechanisms and microstructure at work there with it. But I don't know, Charlie Kirk, he knows all of these statistics about that sort of stuff and has all these arguments. That's kind of like outside of my wheelhouse, right? Not that I see myself up there, but having posted about it last night on Facebook, I see a lot of people I know behind the gun. I saw one person. I was on, so my Facebook feed was pretty quiet, but I mean, we're in Utah. But there's this one person that is pretty radical left, and he was like, I think that liberals are too passive. That was his response to this, and I'm like, dude, shut up. Read the room. This is not a good thing to be saying right now. It's a little wild to me. You watch, you give it a few days, they will get it. But right now, the left is still in. Yeah, just screenshot it. Oh no, like it is totally a thing right now. What people that are celebrating this, taking screenshots of it and sending it to their employer. Like there are conservative activists out there that are like just spending all day doing that. Serious. And you know what? Like, we really do need to do something about this kind of radicalism. We need to show people that that kind of extremism is not okay. So I'm not going to take pleasure in people losing their jobs, but you got to learn somehow. So yeah, that's totally happening. That only one on my Facebook feed. Lots on Reddit though. Just this morning while I was eating, I was scrolling through Reddit and it was some post on r/comics, and it was a comic trying to comment on it that was basically like, you shouldn't be surprised when the hate that you're sending out into the world comes back at you. And there was a lot of it was being ratioed. Like there was like 100 upvotes and like 200 comments. When I don't know if that's ratioed, but I think yesterday what I saw was the left getting ratioed, because when it happened, I saw some videos and like instant reactions from TikTok, people celebrating it, and then by the time I got home, everything was, you people are so disgusting. Like, so many people, especially people in the center, were just absolutely disgusted by the left's reaction to this. Because with these sorts of events, what we have seen in the recent past is, before we know who the killer is, there's this whole back and forth about, well, we don't know who the killer is yet. Okay. And then when we do know who the killer is, everybody rushes out to try and prove that they're a conservative or a liberal, right? So, like the guy that attacked Donald Trump, I think he was registered as a Republican. I don't know. Anyways, there's that. I don't think that game's going to work this time. I don't think anybody wants to hear it. Even if it was a right-wing guy, there was a lot. Let me tell you something. Being here in Utah, Reddit had been recommending many threads to me about Charlie Kirk going to UVU University. And there was so much discussion in that subreddit ahead of time. What are we going to do about this? What can we do to stop him from coming? What should we do? Like organizing against him and things like that. Like you could see the vitriol being spewed at him before he even came. So I don't think there's any question that the media narrative that has been pushed against conservative commentators for a very long time now absolutely is why he's dead today. There's no question about it. And I think anybody that tries to say that's not that is you just, I don't know, willfully ignorant. I don't know. It seems like I could see a lot of people trying to argue against it and like coming up with copes, but this is kind of one of those things where like there's no cope anymore. Like it's very clear what's going on, right? When you're having breakfast, you should, maybe I should, but I'm hopelessly addicted to social media, I guess. Hopelessly addicted. I go through cycles. I definitely will go through periods where it's like, no, it's kind of nice to not watch TikTok, and then I'll get back on TikTok. Or it's kind of nice not to read Reddit, but then I get back on Reddit. Reddit is the one that bothers me. I tell you what, I hate that website. Shouldn't use the word hate, should I? I don't know. Is it it's okay to use? I very strongly dislike Reddit, but I can't help browsing it. That's the place. I like reading internet forums, and Reddit became the world's internet forum. But I really hate the way that they run that website. Yeah, Reddit is your dose. Could be. I really like, have you seen the Dig beta? Can I get to it on this machine? I don't think I've ever logged in, but I should be able to log in. Yeah. There's the new Dig. It's pretty cool. Meet our thinnest phone ever, the phone. The camera part is still huge. I don't know what Apple is thinking over there where it's like we haven't had a really major game changing product in a while. The stock is kind of starting to wane a little bit. It's time for us to change the industry and do something super innovative again. What are we going to do? Oh, let's make the phone thinner and give it hardware from 3 generations ago. What? Okay, whatever. You think I'm kind of surprised that I'm scrolling down 5 pages or so and I haven't seen anything about Charlie Kirk yet. But hey, maybe that is part of their algorithm. I don't know. I just I've enjoyed the Dig. I don't comment on it as much. I don't browse it as much as I should. Oh wait, Dig has gone from bad to worse? Oh man. Oh, this guy says that it's an echo chamber. Oh, maybe it is. I haven't been reading political stuff over there though. Like this is nice because when I come on to Dig, I actually see the stuff that tech news. Free to play multiplayer games still coming out this. Oh, I need to hear about this. What are they? Too long didn't read. Despite the year nearing its end, 2025 still has several free-to-play multiplayer games on the horizon, including Ragnarok, M Classic, 2XKO, Marvel Rivals, Arena Breakout, Infinite, Skate, and Warborn Above Ashes. Never heard of any of those. But I think I'm just going to play Battlefield 6. It's good. You can still go to Slashdot still has good stuff. Hacker News still has good stuff. Why do I go to Reddit? Well, because Reddit has the whole shebang. Like if I go to Dig, I get good tech news, but I also want I do want political news. You do gotta I do want left-wing news. Yeah, I gotta know what the left is doing. Just you gotta understand what the right-wing people are thinking and what the left-wing people are thinking to understand how the market might react to things. But maybe to some extent there, I'm a junkie too. I don't comment on Reddit nearly as much. I've probably been commenting a lot lately, but was it yesterday? There was some, I made a mistake yesterday that was like, I don't know, to me, I don't know what it is. Sometimes admitting your mistake feels good. I don't know what's with that, but admitting this mistake feels good. But it was talking about the Federal Reserve's reaction function. And it was saying, like you consider employment and inflation. And when they're both having a problem, then the Fed's framework is tackle the one that's further from target. So I said, well, inflation is 1% away from target and employment is like 2.4% away from target. But like, I don't know where I pulled that 2.4% from. Like I looked at it and I was like, no, that's wrong. Why did I say that? And somebody pointed it out. Because the unemployment rate is 4.3%. 4.3% is like the level we've gotten to that was like last year when they started to get concerned and they raised rates, right? And now we're at 4.3%. But everything that I've ever read about like what is the natural rate of unemployment, and there's definitely a lot of debate about like maybe it's a lot lower than we think, or maybe it's just the metrics that we're using, like there's some real problems with the surveys that we're getting, and so the unemployment is a lot higher than it seems. But everything that I've seen says that like the natural rate of unemployment is 4%. So from that perspective, we're only 0.3% away from full employment. Is that actually worse than 1% more inflation? Well, when you look at it on absolute numbers, 3 to 4 million people unemployed, and many more. Actually, when you look at all of the people that are like, like they're working, but they're working a much lower job than what they should be. Like they've had to trade down and whatnot. It's getting into like 20-30%. Geez, I don't know. I think that we need to cut interest rates. But I totally botched that. The unemployment rate that we got right now is 4.3%. I don't know where I got 6.3 or 6.4 or whatever. Where did I pull that from? This is weird. I mean, I made a mistake. I felt like it was a weird mistake. And I'm sitting here like, man, maybe I just need to shut up. I'm losing. You're losing your edge, Seth. You gotta, because if I was somebody like Charlie Kirk and I'm going and talking about that in front of people, that's a pretty major mistake. Like, we're just gonna make you look stupid, right? I don't know. I do a lot of reading in the morning, though. Like, the first thing that I do is I get up and I read my news squawk while I'm on the toilet. Check all of the things to see what's going on before we come in here so that we know how to deal with it from a trading perspective. Where did you say the options levels were today? Wasn't it somewhere around 20? Did we really come? Oh, you said all of the 30. Oh, you didn't actually give levels. Did they come back to where the options said that they would? Because they came back. It was a pretty decent pullback on this one. I'll send you a screenshot. Oh, that'd be great. How long do we have? I think it's 30 minutes. I think we're okay. My focus today, I'm just thinking, is like my focus today is don't think about blood squirting out your aorta. That's my challenge today. So you don't pass out again. Man. Oh, hey, he sent me the whole picture. Open in browser. Pull it out here so I can really make it big. Okay, so I think I'm most interested in Zen. Oh, it did. Came right back to the solid one, which I think was the extended session, right? 5 year, no. 5 years is a little bit beyond. 2 year, very much beyond. And 30 year didn't even get anywhere even close to the first line. That's interesting. Is it the case that the 30 year is much more likely to do something at those lines? That'd be interesting. It got close. Oh, okay. It's very interesting. I mean, the thing is that it pulled back. But it's been oscillating in a very, very tight range since then. And well, actually, 83,000, that's pretty big. 76,000, that's pretty big. So I guess we are getting good. We are getting good data. Oh, I clicked on this link and totally forgot about it. Oh, really? Riot Games fighting game is coming out on PC? I don't know. That would be really weird if this game ended up being really popular and everything, because I just don't think that fighting games have a lot of mainstream appeal. But that's what I was saying the other day. The 30-year has ridiculous IV, and when the 10 is maxing and the 2 and the 5 are pushing out, the 30 will usually be approaching the standard deviations. Marvel Rivals PS4 release. Okay. What is Arena Breakout Infinite? Available on Steam and Epic Game Store. Tactical extraction shooter. Emphasizes ultra realistic gunplay with 9. Oh wow. It's like Escape from Tarkov. Okay. I want an arcade arena shooter or a hero shooter. I don't know. Escape. The fictional city of San Vansterd. You guys ever watched Big Hero 6, the Disney movie, and the city that they live in is called San Hokio or something? What is it called? Big Hero 6 city. San Francisco. So San Vansterdam, that's funny. Interesting. It's a skater game that's like a sandbox. Okay, that's weird. Ashes Above. Sci-fi MMO. Action RPG. I bet my brother will like that. He was really into the Phantasy Star Online action RPG. I'm not really into RPGs. I hate RPGs. You know what I like? I like Stardew Valley, because Stardew Valley instantly rewards me for what I'm doing. And like, I feel like so many games stop doing that. So many games are like, yes, we're going to make you grind and grind and grind and grind, and then there's no actual reward to it. Okay, screw that. Well, thanks. And another RPG. Oh, okay. All right, well, let us go to www.zerohedge.com. Are there any updates here? Uh-oh. Elizabeth Warren and Jen Psaki double down? MSNBC has fired political analyst Matthew Dowd after he suggested that conservative activist and Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated on Wednesday, quote, had it coming. Yeah, that's a career ender right there for sure. It is. It's like some people. Just read the room. Even if you really thought that that's the truth, I don't. I strongly disagree. But even if you thought that that was the case, can you not read the room and see that that is like the dumbest thing that you could say right now? Good grief. During coverage of Kirk's shooting, anchor Katie Tour asked Dowd about the environment in which a shooting like this happens, a disgusting framing in itself, to which Dowd replied he's been one of the most equally divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. No, he's not. What did he say that was hate? I really, this is really bizarre to me. Like, they keep saying this, but then I don't ever see examples of what it was that he was saying that was so awful. Police have recovered a footwear impression, a palm print, and forearm prints of the Charlie Kirk shooter. Well, that is a little concerning to me, just that if that's what they're putting out right now, that means that they still don't actually know who it was. Anyways, and I was going back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that it's the environment that we're in. You can't stop these sort of awful thoughts. And you have, and then saying these awful words and not expecting awful actions to take place. And that's the unfortunate environment that we're in. What did he say? I really want to know what it is. Because I'm kind of starting to wonder if it's like, nah, he never really said anything like that, and the left is just taking it for granted that he did. And being against mass immigration is not hateful. It's not. And I'm tired of people saying that it is. There are real political, social, economic consequences to people from mass immigration, and they aren't all positive. And it's very understandable that there's going to be a lot of people that are against mass immigration. Dowd's comments set off a firestorm online, resulting in a public apology from MSNBC President Rebecca Cutler, who called the statement inappropriate, inoffensive, and unacceptable. Yeah. Well, and I mean, the other side of it, the more important side of it is that it doesn't matter what somebody is saying, murdering them is not okay. There's never any kind of case where that's okay. There is no place for violence in America, political or otherwise. Thank you. Dowd took to Blue Sky to issue a similar apology to an echo chamber of leftists. So sorry I got caught. Yeah, it is. I mean, they play this every time. But this time it's different. This time, like, people have been traumatized. Apologize for my tone and words. Let me be clear. I in no way intended for my comments to blame Kirk for this horrendous attack. Let's all come together and condemn violence of any kind. Yes, the old let me be clear, implying you simply misunderstood what he... No, he was totally... Meanwhile, both Senator Elizabeth Warren and former Biden spokesperson and MSNBC personality Jen Psaki blamed President Trump, with Warren suggesting that he needs to tone down his rhetoric. Oh, gosh. Well, that's not nearly as bad, but it's still very abhorrent. Let me tell you something. I don't know if any of you, how many people... I mean, I know there's a lot of old guys here, so we should remember it, but I don't know if you were paying attention at the time. When Elizabeth Warren was being selected to run the Consumer Protection Agency or whatever by Obama, right? And then she didn't get in. The Republicans denied her confirmation. So then she went and became a senator. And every day, every time that woman opens her mouth, I am so grateful that she was not put in charge of the Consumer Protection Agency. It just shows you what's kind of going on over there in bureaucracies. You think that these are people that are just supposed to be neutral people, public servants. That's not who they were trying to install. They were trying to install a pretty radical leftist that had a real agenda and would have really abused that agency. I don't know. It's probably worse that she's a senator. But man, I just dislike the things that she says so much. But you're never going to hear me advocate that she should be taken out or anything like that, right? To me, that kind of ruins like what we would like to see is see her ideas defeated, then see her ideas rejected by the public. That's what I would like to see. And it kind of defeats the whole point if you're just going off them. Political violence is bad, guys. Trump put out a 4-minute video, and at the end he says, for years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and mass murderers. And this rhetoric is directly I have to click the link. This rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. Oh wait, this is what Trump said. Yes. I agree with him. It is like Charlie Kirk is not a Nazi. He's not. And it sickens me to see people calling him that. And it absolutely is leading to a certain political environment that makes this sort of thing likely to happen. He's totally right. Are you wrong, Jen? Oh, that story was just about that. I want to hear... Okay, so let's see here. From Blue Sky to Reddit, Democrats celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination and Trump slams the radical left. Yeah. I want to see more information about the manhunt. I guess I'm going to have to get it all from Uzi. I was just saying that I wasn't seeing any information about the manhunt. You're the only place I've seen any information about the manhunt so far. Zero Hedge is more interested in talking about all of the leftists being crazy, and yeah. which is an important thing to discuss too, but it's just not what I'm interested in at the moment. Yeah, I saw the video of him running on the rooftop. Sure. Let's see if I come to Patriots.win. Do I see anything? Well, there's not anything about the manhunt pinned. They still have... South Park removed their episode mocking Charlie Kirk and MAGA influencers from cable in respect for Charlie Kirk after his assassination. Yeah, see, the South Park guys are smart. It makes me wonder about the rest of the South Park season, because it was basically turning into the whole season is going to be mocking Donald Trump for his tiny penis. Maybe they will think twice about that now. Crowder got his hands on some internal ATF briefings that he tweeted out. And what was in those? Let's get to Rising. No. Left-wing MEPs in Parliament refused to observe a minute's silence for Charlie Kirk. Yeah, did you see the video where they wanted to have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk in the U.S. House or Senate or whatever, and there was all of these Democrats yelling no? Like, the thing is if he had said something that was really so hateful, why aren't people posting that quote? And the longer that you don't see that, the more and more people are going to be like, wow, the left really is crazy. And yeah, this is going to hurt the left. It really is. Okay, so here we do have something, Crowder. Stephen Crowder, this morning my team received an email from an officer at the ATF. The email included a screenshot from what appears to be an internal message describing a weapon and cartridges located by the ATF and other law enforcement near the scene. Okay. But what about it? That they have the weapon, I guess. Read the email itself. Ain't nobody got time for that. You want me to recenter? Sure. we did have a little bit of a rise here. So. All cartridges have engraved wording on them expressing transgender and anti-fascist ideology. Well, there you go. I mean, man. It's so hard to be a person talking in front of people in a situation like this. I just want so much to say the right thing. And we do want to share information too. Not that this is important information for the markets or anything, but I'm interested in it. And, the question that he was being asked was about gun violence, and particularly statistics about trans shooters, because he had spoken about that. And the person that was asking him a question was like, there's only been like 5 trans shooters or something like that. And that's when he got hit. And now we're finding that the cartridges have engraved wording on them expressing transgender and anti-fascist ideology. This is looking more and more like our worst fears about like because if that's the case, then that means wasn't just like a premeditated thing, but that it was a conspiracy. There was more than one person involved. And seriously, calling Charlie Kirk a Nazi is just, it's not true. It bothers me so much that they're saying stuff like that about people. When he's not. He's not a fascist. It's kind of hard to believe, though, because the shooter fired once with a bolt-action rifle and didn't recharge it. That implies only one cartridge still in the chamber of the rifle. Part of using it is try real hard to justify in people's minds. Well, but I don't think that they've done that, though. That's the thing I'm complaining about here, is they keep saying he's a fascist and so hateful and everything. And what did he say? Like, I'm sure he's made mistakes and said things in a way that he regrets. And I'm not seeing those. The whole thing was I thought he was moderate. I mean, I thought he was a Republican, but I thought that he was in line, like, again, that like he believes 90% of Republicans would agree with him. But in these people's minds, all Republicans are fascists. It's just absolutely crazy. And people are like, they're in denial about it, but like, there's clearly a problem here, guys. No, I don't think so. I mean, again, I really think that there's kind of this sort of a thing where it's like, yeah, okay, there's like this story. Maybe the politically engaged people are going to be talking about it, and then you get away with things like this. But we all just literally watched him bleed out. Literally watched him bleed out. Nobody is going to sit down and watch that and be like, yeah, but he was against immigration, so it's okay. No, but like crazy people on Reddit, but everybody else is going to be disgusted, right? And the people on the left that would maybe try and use those sorts of things to their advantage, are going to see that, and they're going to be like, no, 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 you guys need to shut up. It's going to happen today. You watch. The Reddit mods are going to be working ultra overtime for damage control purposes. Well, I think that this is like an unconfirmed report, but it sounds like it is going to be a trans shooter. It's funny because I made a comment yesterday on Reddit. Basically what I said here today, that Republicans feel like that they just watched the left kill the one guy that wanted to have a respectful discussion. And all of the comments were like, well, you don't actually know who... Come on, guys. Come on. Yeah, this guy went and shot him in the head because he was a libertarian and he felt betrayed. Nah, it makes sense. It's going to be a leftist. And I'm usually that guy that's like, let's wait till all the facts are out, aren't I? You guys know, because you're always complaining that I'm that guy, right? This time, oh, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a leftist. Well, I should probably shut up. Yeah? Tomorrow is Friday. We'll have more information. We can talk about that information, I guess. But I got some work to do. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime,